Seriously.
Welcome to the marketing trench. Hey, Scott, do you remember when Ricardo was somebody who was on the show with us and how great that used to be?
Who was that guy? I think I remember something about him. What I really remember about him is his mom. So,
His mom is legendary. I can't even remember what the guy looks like anymore, honestly. It's been
all
so long.
right, that's okay. I guess we'll just handle this ourselves.
So Scott and I are griping about Ricardo for a second because he called us 3 minutes ago and said that he couldn't make it due to it's a quasi legitimate reason, but also we're just going to be jerks about it.
Yeah, super jerks. That's how this works.
Yeah, that's how it works. Awesome.
Which
So
sucks because I wanted him on this conversation. You brought up this topic, and we've all got really different ideas about this. So you're the hater in the group, I think. So why don't you start?
yeah, so the question is, should I pay for coaching? And that's going to be the launch question. I think what we're going to get to later in the episode is if we're going to pay for coaching, then how do you identify a good coach? How much is a reasonable amount to pay? Those sorts of things I think are worth exploring. But so let me launch into it. With me, I've paid for coaches in the past. They have been nice people, and not just business coaches, but like physical trainers and that sort of thing. And I would say my results are mixed, and mostly that they've not been worth the money, especially the business coaches. So Ricardo and I think are actually kind of aligned on this point.
But we wouldn't know that because he's not here.
Yeah, because
So I'll take your word for it.
to do. What he had said offline to us was, I don't have a problem knowing what to do. I have a problem executing. And that's kind of where I fall too, right? So it's like I don't feel like most of the time, and the reason why I don't want to pay for somebody is because I don't feel like I need any. I don't feel like I need to send my money to somebody who's going to say, "Hey, you know what you need to do is X, Y, and Z." I feel like I got a pretty good idea of what I need to do. I just need to do it, and I don't. I just need to do it. Um, One exception to that would be I do feel like sometimes it would be super helpful to have somebody who has succeeded. Like, I don't need a coach, I need a mentor. So, somebody who's succeeded in something who I can look to and say, "Hey, you've done this before. How did you navigate this particular bit of treachery when you faced it?" Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of advice would be very useful. But oftentimes, I feel like the coaches who are in our industry, especially in real estate, haven't done what they're coaching other people to do, right? Like, I could name some names, but just think of your top real estate coaches. Most of them have never sold a home, or if they have, they've sold very few homes. So what gives them the authority, the insight, the wisdom, whatever it is, what gives them the chutzpah to tell me how to run my real estate business? So that's my case against paying for coaching, right?
Yeah.
I don't need someone to tell me what to do. I need accountability. And most coaches aren't going to hold you accountable because they want to continue to collect payments from you. And B, why do I trust the people who are talking to me anyway? Because they haven't navigated the waters. They're not Coaches aren't mentors. They're people who are telling you what to do, but they haven't done it before. So why do I trust them? So that's my case against it. Scott.
Okay. So I'm going to take a few steps backwards here because I think coaching is one of those things that it's a word that means a lot of different things, and it's come to mean somebody that's going to show you the way. But ultimately, coaching is really just hiring. It's really just educating yourself. It's putting yourself into a position. So I would say going to college is 4 years of life coaching, right? You're going in there and you're learning different things. I think if you can separate a real estate coach or one of those what feels like kind of a skeezy Facebook ad trying to, we're going to show you how to blow up your business from 0 to 100,000 transactions in 6 months or less. I don't know that that's necessarily what we're talking about, but I think that gives I think that gives what we're talking about here a bad name. The real question is how do I continuously improve? Well, for the first question is, do I want to improve? And then the second follow-up question on that is, what areas of my business do I need to improve on? Uh, because not everybody is an expert in everything, and you've got the accountability piece, but then you've also got kind of the strategy piece, and those are two different things. If you're signing up for coaching because somebody promises you that they have a special secret that's going to launch your business um, into stardom, then I think you're doing it for the wrong reasons. I think you think that if you pay money, you're going to receive success, and I don't see it that way. I think coaching is mentors. If you wouldn't consider somebody a friend or a mentor or somebody you would look up to, then it's probably just a teacher. I mean, coaching feels like one of these things that uh, you say, well, I don't know if I would do coaching, but nobody is going to say, I wouldn't like teachers along my path to help guide me in the right direction. If somebody has experience and sees I'm going in the wrong direction, I'd like them to point me in the right direction. So I think the topic of coaching is an interesting one, but I think what's more interesting is, where do you go to get help, and what does that look like? Um, because I don't think one coach is the answer. I think it's a smart thing to hire somebody um, to help you practice sales scripts. Somebody that's really good at scripts. Um, but I think it's okay to pull off of the knowledge and the experience, and hey, listen, sometimes what you learn is that you are already on the right path, and you're just reinforcing what you want to reinforce. I know we're not exactly talking about that, but I want to put it in the context of, uh, I absolutely think that you need to surround yourself with people that are going to help you get to your destination. And that person is not always the same person for the entire trip. Like I said, kind of the example that you gave, if you hire a real estate coach, and the most popular real estate coaches out there don't practice real estate, but they're good business people. They've got good business minds, and they've got good ideas, and you can get something from it. It is a repository of knowledge. Um, but you may only need to learn one thing off of that person, and then you might need to look someplace else to learn something else. But it seems silly to me to go to a school and just never leave it, right? And have one teacher the entire time that tells you exactly everything that you need to do. What's the look on your face?
Well,
Did I lose you?
no.
Okay. So
I mean, so that's interesting though, because a lot of the people I know who do coaching and enjoy it a lot have been with their coach for a long time.
yeah, and that's probably as much a personal relationship. And listen, we all need somebody to talk to. If you don't have somebody in your life that has experience that, you think drawing off of that experience is going to help you grow your business, then by all means find somebody that you can talk to. Um, I pay several people to have different types of conversations with them. I pay anywhere from a little bit of money to have certain types of conversations to a lot of money. And I don't pay money because I think they're going to give me something that is, I'm not looking for a specific return on investment. I respect their time. And I'm willing to ask them to carve out an hour of their time to have a conversation with me. And so, in that sense, I'm paying for coaching or advice or something like that. And and for me, I'm not somebody that likes to follow other people, but I'd love to get different perspectives.
Okay, so wait. So Would you argue then that the thing that makes somebody a good coach is their ability to give good advice? Is that the defining characteristic of a coach?
You know what? Quite honestly, the coaches, and I'm using the word loosely, but let's say the figurehead of the organization, of the coach necessarily, is not always the reason to be in a group. I think the most telling thing is the people that are in that organization. Uh,
Mm.
you don't. I get more from the people that are trying to learn more about their business than potentially you do from somebody listening to your situation and saying, well, did you think of it this way? Did you think of it that way? My experience with joining coaching groups is what you're really doing is um, you're getting that entire community, right? You're building that community, and sometimes those relationships and those experiences, in addition to some of the top level leadership. So here's another way to look at it, is a lot of what we do is not technical, especially for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are typically entrepreneurial because they are very technically um, accomplished. I know how to get somebody qualified for a mortgage. Okay, so I'm going to start a business doing mortgages for people. Well, being an entrepreneur and running a business is 1,000 degrees off from just being a good loan officer. It's black and white. They're totally different things. I'm really good at calculating debt to income ratios on the fly, right? Something like that. I'm really good at talking to you and knowing exactly what neighborhood your family would be great at. Um, but what I don't know much about business. I know I'm good at what I'm good at. So yeah, I don't think somebody has to be in the business. And quite frankly, my experiences in coaching groups, I keep wanting to do air quotes because I don't like the word coach. I like masterminds. I like, networking groups. I like these kinds of things. The ones that I've gotten the most out of have nothing to do with my industry. And actually they have leaders in all different industries, because at that point I don't need somebody to tell me how to be a better loan officer, but I love having conversations about being a better business person.
Silence is really good for a podcast.
It's great. So no, I mean seriously though, I mean think about this. Do you need anybody to tell you how to process an escrow?
Well, that's a bad question for me because I don't do escrow, but I see your point. Do I need anyone to tell me how to, for example, set up a web page? Mostly no, right?
Right.
Or do I need anyone to tell me even necessarily how to interview? No. It's not that I couldn't learn more, from somebody who's a highly expert interviewer, or somebody who's a highly expert, who's highly expert in, you know, art direction, or web architecture, or things like that, which are things that I do for my job. Um, yeah. So okay. Well, let's. You
I've
just said a
heard
lot. I'm trying to
I've
figure out what thread to pull on here for a second.
well, the topic is, should I pay for coaching, right? And it's like, should I pay for it? So I guess the real question is what is the return on this investment? Because that
Right.
you don't pay for stuff that you're not making an investment
Right.
into your business.
Right.
So I don't know of anyone that is really, really successful that did it in a bubble, in a vacuum, right? Most people that are really out there that you look at, they have this network of people that they draw off of, whether they're paying for it or not. So if you don't, if you don't have somebody in your circle, but you can pay to get somebody's time for that, I think you 100% need to. I just think it's, again, it goes back to, why are you doing it? If you're doing it because you want somebody to solve your problems, I don't think you should pay for coaching. If you're doing it because
Wait, sorry.
you
Solve what problem? Like, what do you mean by solve your problems?
um like well, like I don't if you're paying for coaching because you saw somebody offering coaching on how to get more clients off of Facebook, I think that's doing it wrong, because that's a prospecting problem, and that's bigger than a solution. It's probably a mindset. It's probably the way that your business is set up. It's probably your messaging. There's a lot of things that it is. If you're not attracting people to you, and you think that you have to pay, and that by paying this money it's going to give you business, it just doesn't work that way. So it really just matters what your expectations are. There is no coaching program out there that you write a check every month for the coach, and then they hand you a commission check for all the deals you close that month.
No, but I mean, the idea is that if I listen to this person's advice, my income flow will, like, I'll close more deals. Like, are you saying that
Yeah,
that's an unreasonable expectation of coaching?
I don't think that's an unreasonable outcome of coaching, but I think it's an unreasonable expectation of why you're in coaching. You're not in coaching to close more deals. You're in coaching to learn how to do things differently so that your business grows in a different way than it is today. It's the definition of insanity is, if you do the same thing you've done every day, how can you expect things to be different? Some paraphrasing, some version of that. So coaching is really just paying somebody to knock you out of your comfort zone and take you to the next level. You don't pay for coaching for somebody to pat you on the back and say everything you've always done is great, right? It's always a reinvention of some sort. It's always a dislodging of previous ideas that you had of how things should be.
Okay, so how do you know if a coach is the real deal? Because you've had a number of coaches.
Yeah.
How have you vetted them?
So I've vetted them. I've vetted them mostly. I mean, online you can follow people. You can listen to them. You can see who's following them. Um, Listen, a book is a coach. I hired this coach for $19 to figure out how to break through bottlenecks. That's coaching. So if you're
Yeah.
reading, it is. If you're,
Well,
it's not accountability, but it is getting advice
I
from
feel like
somebody else on something that can help you improve your processes.
well, I feel like coaching though has a conversational aspect to it, right? I mean, so it's I
An
would say,
accountability piece.
well, maybe, maybe not. See, that the problem I have with books is that, and this is actually Plato's problem with the written word, is it's decontextualized, right? So it's a large deployment of knowledge into a situation for which the context might be inappropriate, or which the all the pieces necessary to deploy that bit of information are not present. Um, and the thing with human conversations is that wisdom from a teacher, a mentor, or a coach comes because you have articulated to them a set of premises, a set of problems, a set of sort of internal thoughts that you have as you try and structure the world to make sense of these things, and they can perceive all of that, and then they from the outside come into your space and help you to sense make, right? And books can't
Mhm.
books books can only do that to the degree that you are able to see where the book is and bridge your way from wherever you are to where the book is, which you're a very lateral thinker, so you're probably able to do that well. But that's why I wouldn't call a book a coach, right?
In that context, I would definitely agree with you on that. It's knowledge and it's information without specific application or accountability. And so, I mean, listen, sometimes just accountability is what people need. I mean, it's an interesting mindset that I have to pay somebody money to tell me to do what I should be doing.
Well, you keep coming back to accountability, and the reason I'm pushing back is because I'm not sure I need accountability. I feel like for me, for example, what I need is to be heard. So I need to be able to articulate. I don't, God, it sounds like a safe spacey snowflake generation thing to say. I get it. But what I'm saying is I need to be able to articulate the world as I see it, have someone understand what I'm saying, and then help me to see how maybe my articulation of the world is wrong, or help me to understand why the path I've thought about is like what I'm missing in that suggested path. Does that make sense? Like,
It does, but it also sounds like you're putting way too much burden on the potential solution. I think you're going to have a hard time finding somebody that's going to be all things to you. I really, I'm really of the mindset that we need coaching and guidance on different things at different points in our lives.
sure.
And the coach or the conversation that you have at one point in your business or your life is not necessarily going to be the same thing you need at a different point in your life or a different point in the evolution of your business. And the other thing is a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. So we're asking these really high level questions like, I just need somebody to help point me in the right direction. But as you just said, there is no one direction for entrepreneurship, right? A lot of marketing and branding, especially in the real estate space, it's very personal, right? It's not about a name or a label. It's usually about us. It's about the person and it's about the personality. Listen, I think there's too much to know on your own. And whether you're self coaching, which is you have the motivation to go out and do your homework and just follow people on YouTube and watch their videos, you don't have to pay for that stuff. Most good coaches out there share their philosophy and their mindset for free and on YouTube videos or their blog or their website or something like that. Where I have paid for coaching is when I've followed somebody or I feel like I really, really know where somebody's head's at and what their goal is, because they typically know that they have a superpower. I'm really good at helping people do this or see this, right? And if I find somebody that has that special skill set, then then 100%, I'm like, okay, now all I'm really doing is just paying for their time at this point. I already know what they think. I already
Mhm.
know what they feel. And I'm just saying, hey, listen, I love your mindset. I'd like to have an hour a month to have a conversation with you, and then you pay for it. I think that's I think that's a very valid. I think coaching is kind of one of those words that um, gets a bad rap because
What
really all it is
I'm
is
trying to do is run your situation through their paradigm. So you get their paradigm because of all the free materials that you've consumed. And now you want to be able to talk to them because you want to be able to hear how they would take their paradigm and apply it to your world. Is that right?
Or or I understand what you're talking about. I'm just not 100% sure on the steps to get there or where do I start kind of thing. But I like I like the picture you're painting of what this looks like when I'm done. It's not necessarily a cure-all. It's not a one size fits all kind of thing. Like I said, especially with the internet, you can get coaches to learn different aspects. Like you said about recruiting, you can find recruiting coaches. You can learn how to recruit better, how to ask better questions. That's not going to be your business coach, right? That's not going to be the person that is going to implement, is going to set up your systems and your training systems and accountability and feedback loops and things like that necessarily. So I like specialists. I think if you're hiring a coach because you don't know what to do at all, then I'm not sure that you're going to get what you expect out of it. But I love the fact that we can tap resources, we can tap experts that have specialized knowledge in areas that I don't have, right?
When did you first hire a coach? How deep into your business were you? And I'll just say my answer to that question is very simple. I first hired a coach when I became the CEO of the company, and I needed someone to help me develop an executive's mindset. And I had the coach for 3 years. When did you first have a coach? What was the driving motivation, and why did you decide to pay somebody?
So the very first coaching experience I ever had was called Vistage. It used to be called Tech, TEC. Uh, and what that was, it was a small group of people. I want to say it was 12 to 15 people max, always the same people. We spent 8 hours one day, a full 8 hour day, one day a month. And you could not have, they were all C-level people. So they were all CEOs, CFOs, they were all decision makers, and they didn't allow two people from any one industry. So I did that in 2007 when the market crashed,
Mhm.
because I knew it was a weird space, and I wanted to get some different perspectives. And I'll tell you, I get more from listening to people talk about other industries, just practices and things like that. That's where I got most of my. th- that's the type of environment that I really, really love. For our mortgage business, uh, I'm good friends with Carl White. He runs a coaching group called Freedom Club. And I've known Carl for over 10 years. He's a solid dude. I like his character. I like his personality. I like the things that he talks about. But that's specific to our mortgage company. And then I talk about Perry Marshall all the time, and I coach with Perry Marshall. But Perry Marshall is more of a business coach. He has no experience, doesn't know anything about the mortgage industry. It's more about business mindset. And then, but it's way, way more about that. It's really for him. It's, I like the way he thinks. He's an engineer. He's not an A-type personality necessarily. He. I resonate with his personality, and I resonate with his thought process, and so I like to be around that. So those are really my only coaching experiences. I mean, up until several years ago, I was the guy that was like, oh, I don't need any coach. I don't want coaching or anything like that. Um, but now I do. Now I'm all in. I love the fact that I can set aside X amount of time and just have conversations around a specified topic. And that's kind of what I like about it. I don't like the accountability piece of coaching. For me, that doesn't work for my personality. I like being exposed to new ideas, and I like hashing out new ideas, and I like validating ideas. But I don't like somebody, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? Because I have a very fluid kind of vision on goals. I don't presume to know the exact path to where I'm going. I just know that I want to get there.
Hmm. That's interesting. This is interesting to me because I've always seen the value of a coach as somebody that can help you get to your goals. And it's like if I'm moving around in the dark and I think why am I not progressing? Why do I feel like I'm up against a wall? It's like somebody who has a flashlight and can say, actually, this is a wall. You're up against the wall. Here's what the wall looks like, and you got some options this way or that way. Um, because I want outcomes, right? Like I want business outcomes. I want to make more money. I want to open more escrows. I want to close more escrows. I want more efficiency with my process, et cetera, et cetera. Or maybe mindset help. This is something I've also thought about is, there are times I get inside my own head, and the reason that things don't get done in a day is because I'm deep inside my own head and I got a wrong mindset. And so it would be great to have a coach who could help me with my mindset problem. Of course, if Ricardo were here, which he's not because he bailed on us like the chump he is, he would say, I don't know if I need a coach or a therapist. um, and so let's talk about that for a second. Do you think that if somebody is struggling with mindset that they should get a coach or a therapist?
That's a really good question.
When you
I
tr-
don't think it's a coach. What I keep going to is, what is it that you're why are you even considering this? If you're trying to find somebody to get you to do the things that you know you should be doing but you just aren't, that's a completely different way to approach and a different way to shop and a different way to look and maybe even a different price point, that you just want somebody to dial in your ADD, right? As opposed to, I want to be exposed to new ideas and new perspectives. And I'm looking to get the juices flowing, not necessarily have a cup of Kool-Aid poured for me. And I think there's a big difference in that.
Hmm. Okay, so here's another question, okay? Because what I hear you describing sounds nice, but the thing that keeps coming into my head as we're talking is that's nice for somebody who has money. So let's go back to the young real estate agent or the young loan officer Scott in the young days. You don't have a lot of money. You are actively deciding between putting money into a marketing campaign and putting money into a coach. Have you been in that situation, or can you imagine it? And what advice would you give to somebody who's facing that situation?
I would say that if you find yourself in that situation, I would put my money into coaching, because everything else you put your money into did not change your situation. So this is where are you right now and where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? It's literally, so here's an example. So again, I'm going back to the crash. So I'm kind of known for my website, right? So I've been blogging for 13 years. I get tens of thousands of people that go there, and we built all this authority and all of this stuff. Um, I built that website because when the market crashed, I found people that were talking about why it's important to build websites. And I literally spent my last dollar to get a plane ticket to go to Arizona to sit in a room for 3 days with people. It was at the Herd Museum. This was the Bloodhound blog gang, that I still have great friends from that. But I got a hotel, and this was Arizona, like in June or July or August or something. I'd never been to Arizona before, so I didn't know what to expect. So I didn't have any money. This was like 2008 or two. This was 2009, I think. So it was like right, the S had fully enveloped the fan at this point, and
Yeah.
it pretty much buried it. And so I rented a hotel, or I got a hotel room for like $30. It was 2 miles away. And so I walked to the museum every day, and it was like 120 degrees. And I was carrying my suitcase with me. And when I got there, I was soaking wet. I was absolutely drenched. And I was staying in an absolute shithole. It was a little hole in the wall for like $30, but I spent my last dollar to be around people that were having conversations about things that I thought would be important to my future. And I would say that that investment, even though I did not have the money to do it, um, that investment got me to where I am today. So the question is, do I not spend any money
Wait, wait,
and
wait, wait,
continue to
wait.
do what I've always done?
Hit pause?
Yes, yes.
Why? Like what? So you had this experience in Arizona. What immediately followed that experience?
What immediately followed was, I'm on the right path. Um, Everything that these people are talking about makes perfect sense to me. At that point, there were some very, very prominent real estate bloggers that were getting a lot of traffic, And so there was social proof out there that, sharing your experience online and becoming a publisher was a long-term business model that could really pay off. And so what I walked away with was 100% confidence that I was thinking about the right thing. Um, I made contacts with people that were already doing it that I could communicate with and I could get advice from as we were going up. And a lot of these people are still my really good friends today. And I kind of went on this journey with them and I went on this path with them. Uh, to me, that was paying for an experience. That was paying for a coaching experience. It was a 3-day experience, right? But I got enough out of that 3 days and I built enough relationship out of those 3 days or relationships out of those 3 days that it unstuck me and got me back onto the path to doing what I'm doing today. And I think as entrepreneurs, does at least for me, my biggest hurdle to success, I think sometimes is questioning my own
Alcoholism.
ability.
Oh, right.
Is
Questioning
what?
alcoholism. No, I'm joking.
Alcoholism? No,
No, Ricardo's
no.
not here, so that's not as funny.
No, no. I mean, it's like, am I making the right decision?
Yeah.
Is anybody else found themselves in this situation? What decisions did they make? My biggest fear is making the wrong decision. So I'm kind of looking. I'm I'm kind of always looking for validation, um, or at least people that I consider equals, and those are the people that you typically find in those groups. So some of those coaching groups are thousands of dollars a month. Anybody that can afford to pay thousands of dollars a month has a certain mindset. They run their business a certain way. They think about investing a certain way. They think about outcomes a certain way. I want to be around those people. I don't want to be around a bunch of people that, if you find yourself in a room where everybody's trying to figure out how to go from 0 to 1 deal a month, um, you're not going to feel great about being in that room, right?
So yeah, and what I'm envisioning here is you got the guru who attracts the followers, and humans are mimetic. We mimic things, and so when you're one of the followers, like you look at the followers, you're like, do I want to be like these guys, but in my own industry? And if the answer is yes, then you hang out with them to see what they're doing and do what they're doing. And part of what they're doing is they're listening to this coach. Is that sort of the philosophy?
Yeah, and sometimes good coaches don't lead from the front. Sometimes they lead from behind. Maybe they're really good at identifying personalities and characters, and they're really good at bringing smart people together and having intelligent conversations. A coach doesn't have to be a person talking down to you, telling you what you need to do. A lot of these coaching scenarios are community, and even one-on-one coaching. And listen, I guess my answer here is if you feel like you need it, you should do it,
Hmm.
but you should really, really question yourself. I mean, make sure you're clear about why you're doing it. And I've always been I've always been more purposeful about it. Um, Again, for instance, there's a lot of coaches in the mortgage industries. A lot of coaches say spend all of your time building relationships with real estate agents, and that's the way you get all of your business. Um, that's not really my style. Would rather be behind a computer than in front of a person. So the coach that I go to talks about that and really, really embraces the technology and publishing and the online aspect of growing your business and how to leverage some of those tools to build better relationships with those people if you're not a people person like I am. So it's you find somebody that has a similar mindset to you, that's thinking of things the way that you do. I'm not actually ever going and saying, teach me that one specific thing. It's really about, I wanted to play, I wanted to play that clip from School of Rock of Joe Black,
Jack.
Jack Black talking about those that can't do teach, right? And it's a funny line, but quite frankly, some people are just better observers, and some people are really, really good at seeing the big picture. And as entrepreneurs, we don't see the big picture. We're buried. I don't believe that those that can't do teach, because I think the things that we need to be taught, the lessons that we need to seek out, um, are the things that we can't get to, that we're just incapable of getting to. We don't have the time. We don't have the bandwidth. Whatever the case is, to me, it's a good investment in your business if you've done your homework and you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
We accomplished nothing.
well, I mean, I'm trying to feel like, am I persuaded, personally speaking? Because I hear everything you're saying, and I can envision myself in that kind of community, right? I mean, look, I don't know how many episodes of this show we've done, but we've been doing this for at least a year now, and repeatedly, you're the guy who brings wisdom into the conversation. That, let's just be totally honest, Ricardo is blowing up. He's a total train wreck of a co-host, and such a gift for not being here, Ricardo. I hope you're listening. But you bring in this wisdom.
Oh, that's awesome. You just froze up on us. We haven't had this yet. Okay, cool. Well, since dead air is so good, while we're waiting for Dustin to come here. Really? Are we going to be gone? Okay. I think we just lost Dustin. All right. Well, we are at 41 minutes. Are you coaching? Are you paying for coaching? Do you think it's a good idea to pay for coaching? I personally think that in today's world of connectivity and the internet, I don't know you necessarily have to pay for coaching. I think there's some great mastermind groups out there. There's some great Facebook groups, especially when you're talking about in our business, real estate and mortgage, and and there's some great opportunities to bounce ideas off of people. If you see somebody that's delivering consistent ideas that you like, and they offer some sort of guidance or coaching program, don't be afraid to make an investment and stick with it for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. See if you're getting what you need out of it. But it's not the be all end all. You should always be learning to grow, or you should always be growing and trying to learn new things. So Dustin's computer crashed. We're at 42 minutes. I think we probably beat this topic up, but we'd love your comments, and we'd like to have more conversations with you offline or online if you see this afterwards. So yeah, Dustin usually does this. Leave us a comment with your questions or thoughts. Join us on Facebook at The Marketing Trench, or you can also see us at our sister podcast, Real Disrupt podcast collaborative, and then you can find them at realdisruptpodcast.com. For Dustin and Ricardo, who didn't show up, this is Scott, and this was The Marketing Trench, and thanks for watching.